and it's dark in the room because the film strip is on. So I peek the door open and I pop my head in just around the door, and the rest of my body's hidden behind the door. And what do I see? But flying at my head is an
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop.
I'm just going to stare at
all I got to say is just eat the mic, will you? For God's sakes, Alan, what the hell's going on here?
I am so tired of being kept in the dark by you, Chris.
You know, you are a corporate mushroom.
I am a corporate mushroom.
As one of my guys said today, I kind of like working in the dark, and then when people turn the light on, I like to scurry away. I said, so you're calling yourself a cockroach? I said, so there you go. You can go home and tell your wife tonight that your boss called you a cockroach. But that's my motivational tactics. That's what I do. That's how I get everybody.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
You know, I don't like it at all.
Just eat the mic, Alan. Eat the mic. We've been doing this for 3 years.
What does omnidirectional mean to you anyway?
I didn't say omnidirect. I said it's side directional, but it's not a it's not the one that's certain.
No. That's not what you described at all. Yeah. 2.5 years of just it's just,
I want everybody to go to the YouTube right now because they're going to see exactly what I think about. Alan, congratulations once again. Flip off early. In fact, that might be the all-time earliest flip.
We had a little side bet, like how quick can I get Chris to flip me off?
And it's minute one.
That's right.
We're back
now. If I get the double birds, I've really done my job.
Yeah, because he calls it out. He goes, "For those listening, yes, he's flipping me off now." I'm like, I did it quietly for a reason, but no, we got to keep going. Alan, we're back in studio, and as always, we love bringing high energy, getting people pumped up. You're probably in your truck, you're in your car, you're driving, maybe going off to that job, maybe going to see that client you didn't really want to see. Get your mind right, get your head trash out, listen to us for a little while. Let's have some fun with it.
Maybe they're working out, Chris.
And maybe they're working out. I
not top of mind for you.
It is not. I do work out, but when I'm working out, I am headbanging, bro.
Are you really?
I'm doing classic hard rock. I got I have some stuff, but somebody's like, I bet you they probably think I'm listening to podcasts or NPR, and I'm actually listening to Rob Zombie. I'm afraid to even say that. But I mean, I gotta get my act going, man, because back in the day, playing football, working out, we only had one boom box in the entire weight room, and we had to listen to something. And the coaches, as soon as they leave, we get away from the get your mother, get your father, boom, boom, boom. Get your mother, get your father, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, pump some weights, baby. So anyway, we're back to our podcast. So they are in their car, they're probably walking, soothing, and they're listening and going, okay, next 30
there
seconds.
We go
no,
again.
All right, don't 30 second me yet. All right, because we got a lot of great stuff to talk about today.
Do we?
We do.
Okay.
And it's not about my travels, which will continue this weekend.
Really?
Yes. Well, last weekend was North Carolina to watch my good buddy get sworn in as a judge and get a judge gun. He's got his own judge gun.
What does that mean? Like a gun? Gun,
like the real gun. They call it the.
Do
Glock
they have
gun.
to like hike the rope up to get to it though?
So check this out. In the state of North Carolina, and I say that just like that.
That's so please, we've established your accents are terrible.
All right. So he got sworn in as a judge. It's called an investiture. And he is going to be a Superior Court judge for Western North Carolina, covering 20 states. He's now one of 100 Superior Court justices in North Carolina. He is the 8th one to cover this one in the history of it being established in 1957, maybe. Anyway, one of his other friends, I got him a double magnum of Veuve Clicquot champagne.
Blah, blah,
Thank
blah,
you. But his other buddy got him an engraved Glock that says Judge Stafford on it.
I like it.
So here's the rule. If he has a concealed gun permit, of which he probably knows people who give those to him, but he can go apply for a concealed gun permit. He can wear it in the courthouse, and he is the only one allowed to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, but then we had to make sure he had access in the robe so he could get it and pull it quickly. Now that begs the question is, how often has Troy James Stafford shot a gun?
I'm guessing he has other people shoot it for him. He probably hunts.
Well, he did as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. He squirrel hunted. I mean, he's from Louisiana, man, from the bayou.
Yeah.
And we squirrel hunt for food. But no, he's not a gun guy. But it's a great gesture, and I think it's really cool. And it was really cool seeing somebody take a huge pay cut to go do something for all of us, because these guys make nothing. I mean, in the grand scheme of being a lawyer to doing what he's doing now, and the judge who swore him in told me for about 10 minutes about how great of a job it is and how much he loved it. And he's been doing it for 12 years. And he said it's the best job in the world. And I was looking at him, I'm like, you poor thing. I'm like, is it a double wide that you're in? No, I didn't say that. It's beautiful. But I tell you, it's a pretty cool
I don't think
elevated status.
Troy's going to be missing a meal because of this career decision.
He's definitely not going to miss any vacation. He was complaining about that. By
Yeah.
the time I got done tallying it up, he has 11 weeks of vacation every year. I'm like, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
He goes, but where am I going to go and how am I going to get there? I said, well, I guess the private jet's out. But in the investiture and in the indoctrination or whatever they call it, investiture, there is a whole paragraph about you will not take bribes. You don't. I mean, there's every angle.
Like they have to put that in writing. Really?
They did.
I know. Like really.
So, but it was super cool. Really old courthouse. Very cool things. But let's get on to our guest, shall we?
Let's.
Okay. Well, who do we have today, Alan?
Tell us.
Oh, that's okay. I will. We have Carl Nicpon, who is part of a brokerage firm that helps people exit and sell their businesses. He's going to explain that. But I have known Carl before he was that. And I have, the first time I ever met him, I came up to Chris Hanks, who's been on our show, who runs our CEO
Yoda.
group.
Oh.
And so it's our monthly CEO group. And you guys have heard me talk about this one. I'm a big fan of this group. It has actually been life-changing for me. I've said this over and over about what it has done for me. But the first time I met Carl, I put myself on the hot seat, did an issue, and he is just peppering the shit out of me. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this guy or not. But
Do I slash his tires or do I roll with it?
And it's every time it was like, oh, that's a good question. And have you thought about that? No. And I was like, so I came up to Chris after and I said, so who is this guy? And he says, well, he's an adjunct professor at Georgia. And I said, so you're bringing him in as like your second hired hand to take me out? He goes, no. He's looking at, maybe probably going to join the group. I'm like, are you sure about that? Because it felt a little different. So what I'm getting at is Carl's got a wealth of knowledge, a huge background, a wealth of just his experiences, his tapestry of experiences that we put together.
Look at you, like a politician, using big words and putting your fingers together like that.
Investiture, now tapestry. Let's use other big words. All right, Carl, welcome to the show, man. I'm so glad you came in today.
Great to be here.
Carl, let's start from the beginning, though. You're born and raised in Atlanta?
I am native.
Yeah, check out that accent.
He's like, what am I doing with these two knuckleheads?
Can't
you feel it?
We're dumbing him down quick.
We are.
So
you're the average of the people that you're around, Carl. You just went right down. Yeah.
So, Carl, little background on yourself. Why don't you give us that 30-second, this is where I started and this is where I got to.
Yeah, well, I actually grew up in a family business and tried like hell to get away from it, and ended up in Chicago getting a master's degree in clinical social work. Comes in handy, by the way, and met my wife there. And after being there for a few years, really the family's like, hey, we need you back. And my wife, I convinced her that raising children in the South a little bit easier.
She's not from here.
No, she's from Chicago.
Oh boy,
cheaper.
Yeah, but still.
And you don't have to zip up every time you want to go to Walgreens, right?
So you're trying that move.
So it worked.
It did.
She came down. She's like, all right, we'll do it. Let's go.
I feel like that call was like the call that Michael got in The Godfather. Michael, it's time to come back.
Well, you know what? The family business was like the Death Star.
It
had a gravity of its own.
Business.
So what is it?
So, okay, family business. Wedding and prom apparel. Tuxedos, bridal gowns, suits, biggest days of your life. Here we go.
So that was the family biz. And you said, oh, hell no. So you went off. I said, well, I'm way smarter.
I tried.
And you went away. And you got to
didn't work for very long.
Yeah. So they said, come on back.
They said, come on back.
And so my question I have for you is that when you came on back to the family business, did you grill your dad like you grilled me?
Well, I didn't have a chance. You're not gonna like my answer on this one because he passed away when I was a teenager. My mom,
way to go, Chris.
Brown.
Way to go, Chris.
That right up. My mom took over the business. And my uncle's a little bit surprised. So the family business was my grandfather, my dad, and my uncle, my mom's brother, uncle, and grandpa long since retired, passed. My dad passed, and it's now mom and her brother, and she's the president. She didn't have any college. She just did it on gut instinct and did a damn good job.
How about that? I mean, a female-owned business, and then having to tell her brother-in-law, "Oh, by the way, I own the business."
Well, half and half, but you're not getting rid of me. Like I'm here.
Right.
Here we go.
Because Dad passed, very tragic, and I know part of the story, and I didn't realize it was the timing on that one. I thought it was later.
That's all right.
Just for the record.
Just
So
keep digging. I'm sure you'll get out.
you know what? The employee has hit rock bottom, and
We'll send you a ladder down there.
A rope.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'll hang myself with that one too. It'll all be done soon. So you get involved, you come back. What do they tell you they wanted you to do?
At first it was like, figure this out, right? Like just get your feet wet and understand this. Because I grew up in the business. I grew up literally shining shoes. I've done everything in the business that there was to do outside of literally sew a tuxedo from scratch. That just about everything else, I at some point did.
So when we think about that biz, and you go back to your days when you, Alan, I'm sure you had the powder blue tuxedo and the white flower.
Lots of ruffles.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
Always.
love the ruffles.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we all imagine this is just a small little mom and pop. This was, of course, it was your mom and your uncle. So we're thinking, okay, a couple people, little shop like this. How big really was it?
So we had 14 locations in Atlanta and
Good
distribution network throughout the Southeast. About 200 people working for us. Yeah.
When he was telling me about the story, I'm like, oh, nice little family business.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah,
Charming.
and we sold it. And I'm like, oh, cute, good for you. Yeah. Did you make a couple, maybe $5-10 out of it? Oh, no, we had 110 employees and 14 locations. I'm like, what? Oh my God. Yes. You guys absolutely were able to scale what is typically a mom and pop business, right?
Right.
So how did you, were they that big when you came back?
So the bridal division didn't exist, and the wholesale division was there, but it really started to take off. And we looked and we said, hey, how do we get out in front of the decision maker earlier? The decision maker on every wedding is the bride.
Zilla.
Yep.
And what years were these? Just to give everybody some context.
So this would have been like 2002 to eventually 2019.
So internet boom is happening, but not the way you found the customer. So you had to come back and get in front of the bride and I just love it because you want to age yourself quickly. It's technology.
Oh yeah.
It happens so fast. So back then you had to come back and they said, all right, Carl, figure this out. And your job was to figure out how to get in front of the customer.
Well, my job at first was just to figure out what's happening, right? And so I had to relearn the organization. I had to relearn the operation. And part of what was going on was we also had a software. We were the very first organization that had live inventory availability at our point of sale.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that.
What a competitive advantage.
Huge.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I know I asked the question. Were you guys at 14 locations at that point?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
You were. So
Yeah.
you kept the same number of locations. Your breadth of offerings just went big.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so part of the other thing that was going on here was we had that same computer system that enabled us to be point of sale, live inventory, and great differentiator, but we had the same one when I got there.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's now like, 12 years old, and we're training new staff, and the new staff, we want to spend time teaching them how to sell, right? We want how to develop a relationship with a customer, get them to fall in love with you, and, just like, close the deal, right? So that's what we spend time working on. We want them to understand the product, romance the product, all that good stuff, right? So that's how we spend our training. After all that's said and done, then we show them how to implement it in the computer system. And we got all these people like white knuckle syndrome in front of the computer, frozen because they're looking at this green screen.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
I do. And I don't
Green
know if
letters in black background. Oh boy.
I remember when Enterprise went to computers. And I mean, it was the fourth largest rental car company in the nation when I started with them. hundreds of thousands of vehicles, and they were all kept on index cards. And so we finally, when I was there, it wasn't my deal, but they brought on the green screen, and we went to computer training in downtown Portland, and it was right when we had invaded Iraq first. And there was this, as you know, in Portland, they protest, and I mean, there was a violent protest going on outside. So I'm trying to learn this new thing I had no idea and I was very scared of. But then I'm also looking outside and seeing tear gas and rocks being thrown. And
I think for a lot of people listening, and when you think about this, you're like, why the hell are these guys talking about punch cards and index cards? I brought that in. The point is, if you think about technology and if you start looking back on some of the archaeology of technology, you're going to start to see where the next trends are going to happen. Everybody says, oh, yeah, AI. And we've had Stephanie on talking about that. But that's why I love having these conversations, because if you go back to your roots and start thinking about it, that's where you start to think about punch cards and index cards. And I remember seeing a Commodore 64 at the Smithsonian, which was the very first computer we had in my family. And we were the cool kids. I mean, I was the coolest dude anywhere.
you guys must have been
I wasn't as cool
rich.
because I had the TI.
Yeah.
The TI wasn't as cool as the Commodore.
No, we were so cool.
Yeah.
And then we got the 5 1/4 floppy and like, let's game it up. So this is way back in the 80s, right? And so now you come back, you're on black screen. So they're white knuckle. But yet
because they're looking at this thing like, what do I do with it? Like at this point, it's old tech and it's not user friendly and it's not what you see is what you get. And you've got to understand these commands in order to use it. It's frustrating. So I said, we've got a problem here because our people can't really use the technology without it. The technology is now in the way of a good relationship with the customer.
Great gold nugget right there. You're teaching people to have that relationship with Bridezilla, who's sitting there, and you finally got her calm down with a glass of champagne, tell her everything's good, and you sit in front of the computer and you go, it was backstroke L for list. It was and you're like, dude, can't do that. So that's a great point. Technology gets in the way of the sale. I mean,
So we revolutionized our technology. We brought it up to date. We created and owned the software from then on that we implemented, and it was really a big difference because our people could feel comfortable with what they were using, and it never was in the way. It just facilitated the transaction.
So from the time you started in two to the time you sold, how big did you guys go from and to?
Well, so from the time I started, we doubled in size.
Doubled. Think about that. Doubled in size from 2 to the time they sold.
Without a bigger footprint.
With the same number of stores, breadth of services went deeper or wider, I should say. And so obviously you were in there and you're making those changes. So you made your first round of changes, coming in, working on the sale. What did you find that next hurdle to be? Let's go through that change journey, if you will.
Yeah. One of the challenges that we had to get over was, when you think about family business and how family business grows up, everybody in the family participates. They all pitch in. And the question is, what do you need? Right now, the question isn't necessarily, what am I good at? But somebody's got to do this. Who's going to do it? And one of those areas was accounting. And I had, family members who were still managing accounting that never had any accounting training. And for the business owners out there that have made the transition to professional accountant, a professional controller, right? You understand the difference it is when you've got somebody who really understands how to make the numbers make sense and tell a story and inform you about your business. And convincing my family that we needed professionals and experienced finance managers leading the way in that, from outside the family who'd be willing to tell the truth.
Outside the family, Alan. Outside the family. By the way, you know what?
You're out, Tom.
The consigliere.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's right.
He's not even Italian, but
he's sounding Italian.
Oh my God, he is. Well, he's close. He's Catholic.
Bless you.
Thank you. So,
and he almost could say that, right?
Right, he almost can because we got to get right. So back to the social work, yeah, because he went, but convincing them that had to be so hard because I had my family had a business as well, and nobody came in from outside the family.
Right.
Yeah.
Big deal. And but the winning story of all that is that eventually eventually my uncle, who was kind of the godfather, right? He didn't really want other people knowing the family's business, but eventually he'd always say, "Hold on, family. I want to know what our finance manager thinks."
No
And then I
way.
was like, "Score, he has been
Yes.
converted."
Yes.
Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
That's great.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I mean, but again, that journey, you watch that whole transitional journey. That's why I love the story from two to, and you guys sold in.
We sold in 2019.
We'll come back to 2019 in a minute.
Yeah.
Because there's a really big thing that happened in 2020. All right, so
I can't remember.
it doesn't matter. It's an old thing. And by the way,
It was literally a year to the day before
COVID.
everything shut down.
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh? How about timing?
Timing is everything.
Did I mention I started my business in 2008?
Yeah.
Did I mention I had to live through COVID? Yeah, timing is everything. That's why I'm bringing Carl in, and that's why I want to talk to Carl, because I don't know timing. My timing sucks. Did I mention my only 2 stock picks I ever made?
You
I
have,
was
but
an
let's
Accenture-
for our new listeners, because now we are, top 5%. There's
Yeah.
a lot of new folks on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Tell them the 2 genius moves you made stock picking.
All right. So back at Accenture, I chose not to go with a .com startup. I said, I'm going to be smart. But then somebody told me read the book called Peter Lynch, Invest in What You Know. So I took $5,000 of my money at the time, which, by the way, at the time, might as well have been 500,000. My wife's like, "You're nuts." I'm like, no, we have this new thing with E-Trade, and I get to do it without broker fees. No problem, babe. I got
I'm saving us money right
Watch
now.
this. Watch this. So I take $2,500 and I put it in. Oh God, this hurts. Lucent, because at the time I was sticking all kinds of call centers.
You can laugh out loud.
I was putting call centers in across
Got
the
stuck
nation,
on the way up.
and then I took the other 2,500 and I put it in Nokia because all the phones we were putting in were going into these call centers. I'm like, invest in what you know. All I kept doing was putting all these Lucent in. All right. So I put my money in. And then I find out the day I put my money in was exactly 1 week after Lucent had spun off Alcatel, which was really the switches I was doing. So my money was in the one that was dying that they were killing off. So, and then Nokia, God, I just lost my mind on it. Because it makes me so mad to just think about the words.
Your hands are actually shaking.
They are. I'm so mad. So, and then they went bankrupt because they were Canadian. So
that was the whole that was the root of the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm from Michigan. I can say it. It was the root of the problem. So I lost all 5,000. By the time I sold everything off, it was like $100 on this one and $75 on this one. Close the account. Done, 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 done. Boom. Goodbye. So Chris does not need to be your stockbroker. Chris needs to go to work in what he really
There's
knows.
scratching the surface on great decisions Chris has made.
I've made a lot of
Like starting a podcast.
Yes. And here, well, actually, this has actually turned out to be all right. Well, you know what? I hit the gold every once in a while, and convincing Alan to come on. I mean, I might be a little bit of a salesman, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, how much am I going to make? Nothing. Well, what do I have to do? Just show up. First podcast. What? You're gonna feed me beer? I'm like, yeah. Hey, Alan, I don't have any beer. Can you bring some beer? Yeah. He goes, okay, I'll be a little late. I'm like, I'm perfect. All right. Yeah. How cold do you want it? Which ones do you want? I'm like, hey, well, make sure they're craft beer. I mean, I want good beer. So, yeah. So I got Alan hooked in on the train, but back to Carl, because this story, I think it's just fascinating going through navigating a family business to get them to where they were able to exit at a very great number. We'll talk about that.
Now, but here's the thing. I can't take credit for all that because without Cheryl, so Cheryl is the professional money financial manager that we brought in from the outside the family. We would have never happened without her. I learned so much from her. So, I mean, I did my MBA. I got my real MBA from Cheryl.
All right. So love talking about that. Everybody says that. Give us some examples, a couple, like one here, one there, things that you learned. You're like, shit, I didn't think about that. She said this, bam, it worked.
Okay. Well, one of the big things was she said, let's really do an exercise to figure out where you're making the most money. Now, we all thought we knew. So we had 3 divisions. We had a retail division, right? That was the men's retail. We had a wholesale division. That was us providing tuxedos to bridal shops, mom and pop bridal shops throughout the Southeast as their back end. And we had the bridal division, right? So 3 divisions. And we all thought we knew what was making the most money. And she forced us to go through a 6-month exercise of allocating every single expense to one of those three divisions. Now, what was really super hard was that all these were running through the same warehouse. So the same individual people that were making these things happen just at different points in the day. And we had to now split these up so we could accurately understand what our cost of goods was. Lo and behold, the division that was like the sleeper division, we had no idea was the one that was making all the money.
I don't know which one. All right, Alan, you go first. Which one do you think it
Taking a
was?
guess?
Yeah. Wholesale, men's retail, bridal.
Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? You need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the book by successful entrepreneur Chris Lalomia. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Lalomia shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the world of home services. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get a copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
Oh, bridal's too easy. I'm going to say the wholesale side.
Shit. Well, I think it's where you guys started men's.
Yeah. So, Alan, you're right. And we didn't see it coming.
Really?
But we had the proof. And now we understood the dollars we invest there are making more money than anywhere else. So what do we want to do? We want to grow that division as much as we can.
Your wholesale division.
That's right.
But the hard part for the fam and for me as a person and for you as a person is that that's not the sexy one.
It is not the sexy one. You're right.
It's not the one where I get to get Bridezilla to go, bride lover. I love you. Oh my God, you're the best ever. Oh, come here, give me a big kiss, you Bridezilla. You know,
None of that.
It was the wholesale stuff, which is not sexy.
It is not. It is all just about, like old school relationship building.
Yeah.
And because, right, these mom and pop bridal shops are small towns throughout the Southeast. They do business the good old fashioned way. But at the same time, we got to educate them and help them stay alive because some of them did business the old fashioned way enough to put them out of business. And that's not good for ours.
Oh, talk about that. So, and this is where, man, damn it, Carl does it again. He always has.
What did he
ideas.
do?
He's just got great ideas. So he realized that his end consumer, the person buying, needed more education. So he didn't go in there sell. They didn't. They went in there educated and said, "Hey, look, we can help you with your business.
That's right.
We can keep you alive. You want to keep Men's Warehouse away from you. You want to keep whoever your big competition, Walmart. I don't know what the hell that was, but you want to stay alive. We're going to teach you how to stay alive." So you guys probably did that, didn't you?
Well, we had some great folks that were out on the road and really, man, they did it. They took them through. All right, here's what's working. Here's what's not. And they were willing to explore areas of their business that we didn't play in at all. So most of these were bridal shops. And here we are providing tuxedos in the back end. We didn't, those folks who are out there on the road for us, they didn't do a lot with the bridal division. But here they were teaching these folks how to buy better for their core merchandise. Got us absolutely nothing except for a business that was strong and healthy and bringing in their core customers so we could then provide on the back end the tuxedos.
So how many accounts did you have out in your territory?
Ish.
I mean, real good active ones, 300.
That's amazing. I mean, that's two totally different businesses. You've got your 14 stores and wow. That's impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, when you think about it and you have somebody who sits there and does the unemotional analysis or makes you do that unemotionally, the fam sits there. And then next thing you know, Godfather says, let's hear what our.
And by the way, all the way through this, we're all just kvetching about what it is to have to go through the exercise of really figuring out. And every one of us, all four of us, the owner, my mom, her brother, my cousin, his son, and me, the four of us. We're all just like, spitting bullets about having to accurately reflect where these expenses are going.
So Cheryl got a little.
Right, you were pissed.
Oh,
You're like,
sure.
and you're like, I brought her
His
in.
name was a bad word.
And
You know what?
Cheryl's afterwards, she's just going, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Told you
Uh-huh.
so.
But can you imagine
Yeah,
that? You
yeah.
see Carl out there in the warehouse going, Cheryl, Cheryl, Cheryl.
It was hot enough.
I used one F-bomb and I get in trouble. But you say Cheryl, no problem.
That's right.
But, I think that's where we go wrong. I totally disagree with the swear words today, because the F word was never in the Bible. I can say it all fucking day long, but no,
Because the Bible didn't specifically say
I say
not.
I say fucking Sam.
Okay. So since
I get
Carl
trouble.
actually trained to be a priest, let's ask
And
an
I just did that
expert.
right in front of
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
All right. Well, forgive me, Father, for I've seen it. We're back at the Temple of Carl.
Bless you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Go and
Cheryl.
go and sin no more.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Saturday
The
morning.
next 30 seconds.
Yeah. That's what I told her. I was like, well, I guess Saturday morning. Actually, we ended up having, I'm not even that far anymore, but back in the day.
How often do you go to confession, Chris?
Let's not get there right now.
How often should you go to confession?
Well, back in
For
the day.
him daily.
Yeah. Back in the day, we were weekly. Mm-hmm.
That's old school.
Yeah, I was old school, man. Yeah. I mean, I was old school Catholic, grade school, the whole thing. Yeah. And then at high school, we went monthly.
Mhm.
And it was a long list. But there's a movie out there about the whole thing. It's called Heavenly Sent, and you don't have to watch it, but I'll give you the gist of it. And that was, you usually had to have all your sins written down or ready to go, so you could stand and deliver. You did it all, nobody's seeing you, and you do it. And they had this scene where you go as a freshman in high school, and you went into the bathroom, and the seniors would go, all right, what did you do? And it's like, I thought bad about somebody, I swore, I took the God's name in faith, I abused myself sexually, and then one of them had like 25 in there. He goes, no, let's move that down to 5. And he looks at the kid and goes, really? Okay, yeah, that's 5, but let's move lies up to 6. And he goes, then he'll put you off with a good sentence. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what we did in high school. You're like, nah, I'm gonna do that one, I'm gonna pull that one, because we had to use numbers and activities. Back in the day, we were told that's what we had to do.
You mean like how many times you did something?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. Disrespect your parents, especially the top 10, you hit the 10 commandments. I did not kill that guy. No, I'm kidding. I never did. Never in my life.
they never found the body.
Right. And the top 10, I feel pretty good about, but then there's the other ones, and they really, man, it's just lord over you. You're like, oh, all right. Anyway, back to Carl. So Cheryl, damn it, Cheryl. So what's funny
For
is
a minute there, Chris forgot that we were in the room. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I did too. I actually was transported right back to grade school.
You want me to smack something and make you
I just did that this morning in training. We talked about it's okay to fail. We're in a failure-friendly environment. We want you to fail. I said, I grew up in grade school, and I brought out my ruler. I said, my failure environment was wrong. Why is shut up such a bad word? I never knew that. I mean, but I had to write that thing 1,000 times on a chalkboard.
Ouch.
I will not shut up. I will not say shut up. I will not say shut up. I will not say shut up. I couldn't leave until I wrote it 1,000 times on the chalkboard, and Mr. Scrocky came back in and checked it. And I'll be damned if he didn't count it.
I was just going to ask, how do they know if it's 1,000?
Right. And guess what?
It was short.
Short.
You were short.
Because I was making it bigger. I was trying to figure out a way to cheat and get out of there.
Well,
I will not cheat and say shut up.
in 6th grade, I thought the way to survive with the nun, Sister Eileen, was to get on her good side, right? Well, and so here I am in the middle of, and I'm on her good side, and that means I get to do the errands in Catholic school. That's a big deal,
Right.
right?
Ooh,
Like
you were that kid.
What errands?
I was like, can you go to the office? Oh,
Right. And you got the magic hall pass.
that's right. That's
So
what
you walk down the hall.
You know what the really best? You know what the really best errand is?
What's that?
I need you to go to the teacher's lounge. Yeah. Well, no, but no. So at one point in the middle, do you even remember film strips?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So we're in the middle of a film strip, and I'm sent to the office to go get something for Sister Eileen. Now, Sister Eileen's door, it's a little loose. They should have had the trusted toolbox there to help fix it.
Oh, way to bring it around.
Beautiful. Love that one. Trusted toolbox, also very wholesome.
So, so but I'm in a rush because this has to happen fast. So I go out and I close it. I pull the door behind me and it slams, makes a loud noise. And Sister Eileen yells, "Carl!" And it's dark in the room because the film strip is on. So I peek the door open and I pop my head in just around the door, and the rest of my body's hidden behind the door. And what do I see? But flying at my head is an old-fashioned metal trash can.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And she says, "Do not slam my door." It slammed again because I got my out of there and I was like heading out like, ah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, see, you know what? You've never forgotten that story.
I haven't.
Yeah. How about the
No.
nun where it's Sister Maria Louise, and she always had a napkin or a Kleenex. I mean, those habits had these sleeves.
I don't want to
swear
know
God-
what's up those sleeves.
But I swear to God, I mean everything. I mean, I wish they would. I wish they would show some. She must have had like 5 boxes of Kleenex in there because it would be.
Like a magic trick.
And then the minute I didn't do anything. It was always Jerry. It was not me. And then next thing you know, here comes the ruler off the left side. Oh, I mean, I was good at ducking. And in fact, I feel like
Like
at
the
the time,
Matrix.
I was, my head, it was coming swinging. I was, you can't see that in the podcast, but just imagine me with my head contorting all the way down to my navel.
Oh, so the
As-
good old days.
Those, you know what? Bring it back.
We need
I say bring it
more wastebasket chucking in school.
I love that story. Carl. I'm not scared.
No, but man, that woman could move.
Right?
She was scary.
She could throw.
Oh no, that was a kick.
Oh, that was a kick.
That was a kick.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
That was a boot.
They used to play kickball with us, and so I grew up in a small town. However, our recess was on a parking lot. So I grew up because my dad grew up in inner city Buffalo, and he thought that was perfectly normal.
To play in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so our recess was in a parking lot, but the nuns would come out there, and we had one nun. She was a little bit younger. I can't remember her name, but she would come out and play with us, and that leg would swing out from under that habit, and that ball would fly. I'm like, what in the hell's underneath there? I'm like, holy shit, because you're thinking, it's a nun, we're all creeping in, and that ball comes whizzing out. You're like, whoa! Hello. It was remember those old red balls?
Oh yeah.
That when you hit somebody, because we played dodgeball with them
Dodgeball,
too,
yeah.
right? Bring back that. Because you could dodge a red, you could dodge a ball. But if you can dodge one of those big, thick rubber balls, I mean, when you didn't see it coming, it hit you off the side of your head in the slobber knocker. Like,
Slow mo.
oh God. Yeah. You kept your head on a swivel there, boy. You're playing dodgeball in the auditorium. Which we did the same thing. All right. Back to
where were we?
I don't know. Let's go. How about Carl growing his business
forward?
So he brought the family in. The Godfather says, do this, do this, do this. You guys continue to grow. So from 2, now you guys are, you have the big recession.
Well, so okay, well, yeah, that happens, but we get through it all right. And now at this point, I've been resisting taking over the family business, right? I'm 3rd generation, been working with 2nd generation for the longest time, and I'm very happy to be the one to run the business without having to be the one that signs my name on the line of credit and on the 401k at the end of like all that stuff, right? But I get to call the shots. It's a great place to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it can only go on for so long.
Okay, so you were actually the boss, but without having to be paying the cost to be the boss.
Well, yeah, I mean, and my mom and uncle were there, and they, but we were kind of like saying, we were running and say, this is what we should do. And mom and uncle would say, all right, let's do it. So here and now, my mom and uncle are starting to think about what is our exit strategy.
Here we go.
And so a couple of things happened. First of all, we had the business valued, and we went to see an M&A advisor.
How early before 2019 did you do that?
Okay, so this was like 2012.
7 years before you actually
now, but this is not
That's
what
right.
actually led to. This is not what actually led to the exit.
Right.
But what this did lead to was our despising the industry of exit planning. Yes, we because we met somebody who was referred to us by somebody I really trusted, and it was like walking into old school Miami with the shirt unbuttoned and the tan and the gold chain, and we all walked out of that feeling like that was sleaze.
All right. So you went to get your business valued at 2012 and you walked away going, I'm not selling my business.
Right? No.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm trying to just take care of my parents. We wanted to get them taken care of. And so when that doesn't happen, we start talking about, all right, my cousin and I kind of feel obligated to take things over so that my parents, my mom and his dad can retire.
Okay.
And so we buy the business from them. And
Because the
and
easiest transaction is to sell to your family,
that's right.
right? So you had it valued or ish, and you guys knew a number, but and this is why, again, the tapestry of his story gets really good. Thank you.
Did you go to a new
I
seminar on
went to,
you
like-
need to use
Like poetry,
power hand gestures?
I do. No,
Okay.
I have that.
poetry and
it's-
podcast.
You know what? It's just innate in me. Ellen.
know,
I'm just so good at that.
It is an
That's
audio
exactly
thing,
how I
not a
got
visual
Sister
thing.
Marie Pauline to not expel me from school, by the way. But that's a different story.
So my cousin and I buy the business from our parents, and we look at each other and we say, all right, what are we going to do? And this took some time, but
When
what
was
we
this?
realized this is like now 2017,
Wow.
2016, 2017, somewhere around
All
there.
right, so you bought them out 16, 17.
And we look at each other and we say, all right, we are a regional business in a world that either needs to be hyper local or national.
So you guys are right in the middle.
We're right in the middle. It's
And
like
you're like-
no man's land. It's a bad place to be.
Right.
What are we going to do? We have two choices, three choices. Shrink to like hyper local, bad idea, right? Or grow it to a national footprint on our own, or sell it and let somebody else do it.
Hmm.
And we thought, you know what? Let somebody else do that on their dime.
Okay.
And that's how we made the decision to sell.
It sounds easy. But what's
Making
it?
the decision to sell?
No. Let somebody else do it. It sounds easy. But back to every business owner that's ever owned a business, and all three of us have sitting around the table, and or do now. Especially so you looked at it and but you said, yeah, but we've had it valued, but yeah, he was way off. It's at least 15 times more than that. Is that what you guys were doing? Were you guys thinking
We were not unrealistic about the value. I mean,
You were not. Okay.
We were not. But what we were realistic about was the amount of work it was going to take to really make it what it needed to be to compete well.
All right, talk about that. Here we
Yeah.
go. Now we're talking about the tapestry.
The tapestry. Well, so
You need,
I mean, here we
you
are.
need a
There's
new
national
word.
players.
I'm going to look up a thesaurus real quick and come up with
You
other
do that
words
while
for
you
tapestry.
do that while Carl tells you how to make a lot of flipping money.
Turn the clock back. It's okay. And this is where, like, like industries change, communities change, and you got to look and say, is my business still relevant for the time? And we said, all right, well, our industry used to be that regional players were okay because think about it, weddings, most of the family was around. But Atlanta's this national, city that lots of people coming in and out, transient, right? And so when people would get married, they'd have friends coming from all over the place, and they were thinking about, well, what about how my friends from coming in from Boston and Chicago and Arizona and Portland, where are they going to, how this is going to work for them? And a regional firm taking care of them was really no longer the best way.
Right.
And that's why we had to make a change.
Because we at the time, especially when you think about it, everybody goes through transitions of life. In your mid-20s, back in the day, today I think it's getting older, but then you're being asked to go to weddings. And back when we all grew up, it was traditional weddings, and especially if it was Catholic, I mean, you had to have 10 bridesmaids and 10 groups, and you're asking all
We
the
like
guys.
those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I bet you did. Yeah, you guys were killing those. Yeah. So
We used to, by the way, paint. This is way back in the day. We used to paint the bottom of the men's shoes so that when the groom was kneeling at the altar, you didn't see this horrible mess of a shoe. You saw a black bottom to the shoe.
So I did that to everybody. We got married back up in Michigan. Nicole and I met in North Carolina. We went back to Michigan.
God bless her, by the way.
Yeah. that she's still here. Yep. Yeah. She would say the same thing. Trust me.
Is she still here? I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks.
Well, Carl just met her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
'cause-
right. She let her in the front door
Yeah,
because
Carl
I go through the
Carl
servant
got,
centers.
yeah, you get to go come in. But yeah, no, we had to
By the
full
way, as
on
you tell the story, the word would be mosaic
mosaic now.
instead of tapestry.
Oh, I can put tiles together.
Yeah.
Mosaic.
Just
Okay.
Patchwork
Mosaic.
quilt is another one.
1,000 points of light.
Yeah.
This. All right, back to this.
Medley.
So I made my friends go to a full-on Catholic mass in Michigan in August by the water. I'm like, beautiful. It's gonna be great. We did this whole thing. Hottest day on record in back in the day, and I had to kneel through the whole thing. But I made them all put up with it because a full-on Catholic mass and wedding is an hour and a half. And most of the guys had driven up from the south to go to this thing, and they're like, "What the hell did you make me do?" I said, "Dude, I'm going to pay it all back to you when you go to the reception. Right, watch this." But yeah, I love that because you're right. Everybody had to see my shoes the whole time.
Yeah. So, but eventually we make the decision that we're gonna make the sale, and we started networking within the industry.
Okay, here we go.
Talking about what our options were and what other people were thinking.
Talk about networking in the industry. Because we
had good relationships, and it's for us, we did something stupid, which is that we didn't use an advisor to make the final sale. And I can come on the other side of this and say, please don't do what we did.
All right, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So you are really good at networking. You thought, like, you know what? I got outside of the family bond. I'm ready to rock and roll. I know what I'm doing. I'm meeting all these other people. I know how to network. I'm a smart dude.
And we found people that were able to actually make connections with good financing to actually create the roll up.
So you guys felt like, man, we got this.
We got exactly. And so they actually fly me over to Scotland, and I'm there.
Was there a bone in that bourbon?
I put it on mute. Ellen,
did you? Well, it came through our mic.
All right. Anyway, so they fly me over to Scotland to see this operation, say we want to do this in the US. And I was like, oh my God, this is the future of the industry. We need this now, and we need this here.
So they wowed you. They were like, you got on the plane, you went over there, you like looked at it all, whatever they were doing, whatever. You said, that's it, I gotta go. Came back, told your cuz, that's it, we gotta go.
That's right. And so we start this process. It's eventually 7 companies coming together as one in a roll-up strategy that happens over 6 months.
Wow.
And we were the platform. We were this goes back to the computer question at the very beginning. We were the software platform that everybody.
Hello.
So you were the key to the whole thing.
That's right. Without the technology, nothing works.
So why are you so adamant about I'd never do it again without representation? Is it just kind of keeping the arm's length piece to it, or
no? Because I thought that our industry only had one shot, and we had found the one shot, and I was wrong.
And the answer is there's many shots.
There's many shots, but when you're in the middle of it and you're wondering what's really possible, and you found that the bullseye, and you think you've got it, you're like, why do I need anybody else to help me figure that out? I've already found the buyer.
All right, let's talk about this.
So what's missing in all that is any competition. So when the buyer knows that they are your only choice and that you're the one they've got your eggs in their basket, then, you don't have any leverage.
I mean, this is the part that I really want to get into, and we can do this for the rest of the podcast. And here we go. So why would I pay some business broker X%, whatever the number is,
sure,
to do that for me? Because I'm smarter than everybody. I mean,
well, you are, but not everybody else is.
Yeah, but
by definition, if you're smarter than everybody, then the other people are less smart.
Right. And so, but look at Carl. He doubled his business. He got mom and uncle out of the biz. He's got cuz here. He did a great job. And but most of us are so egotistical.
Hypothetically,
not for many
in
people.
Theory,
not necessarily anybody in this room.
I don't want to pay somebody to do this for me because I can do this myself.
That's right.
So tell me why you get me. Why does that help you get
a
more?
Man's got to know his limitations.
Right.
So I have a friend who's a lawyer, and he does M&A transactions, and one of his longtime business owners came to him and said, I've got a deal, and I just need you to now get me through it, right? I need you to finalize the negotiation, make sure that it's written down right and I'm protected. And the deal was like a $15 million deal. It was a good deal. And the guy was pretty wowed and he was excited and he thought, man, this is good. M&A lawyer says to him, you know what? I think that we should check out what your other options are. Why? Why? This is a good deal. I like the buyer. They like me. Because I think you're leaving money on the table. Well, how do you think we fix that? We shop it. We create competition. So the M&A lawyer brings in an advisor. This is while I'm still running my business. So this is a while ago. And they end up with a $48 million deal. Why? Simply because
What was the offer on the table?
1.5.
1.5.
That's 1.5 to 4.8. Just for those who aren't good at math, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. Now, so here's the thing.
Yeah,
Look, I don't want
big.
people.
Father
I don't want
Fries
people
again.
on. I don't want the listeners to think that it's going to happen in every.
Right.
It's not.
Great point.
However, it illustrates the point that you will leave money on the table if you just take the offer that is right in front of you.
Okay. So let's go back to it again. A lot of us are very short-sighted and very egotistical. I'm not speaking.
I'm one of
for-
them.
Yeah. Right. And so I got to give him.
As soon as he admits he is, then suddenly you're like, okay, me too.
Yeah.
Did you hear that,
No.
listener?
No. No. So I got to pay you a percentage. I got to pay you a cut. I'm like, but you're taking a cut off my deal.
Yeah.
But you just took my deal from 1.5 to, let's call it 3.0. You know, I just took your deal from 10x to 20x or 10x to 3x or 30x. So do you want the 30x portion or that's the hard part. So let's go back to your biz and what you did. You valued it at 12.
Peace of mind alone is worth a lot of money. Don't you think? I mean, I know Chris thinks he knows everything, but were he to sell his business and he thinks he has a buyer, you don't know what you don't know. And somewhere that's got to be just eating in the back of your brain.
Absolutely kills me.
Yeah.
In fact,
So to have an expert to tell you,
thank
no,
you,
this-
Alan. I
yeah.
will not be sleeping tonight. And I'm the whole time going, I can't believe he just said somebody knows more than me. And there's the unknown though, but it's true.
But that's
though.
one of the things
Back
that
to the unknown.
that well, yeah, it is unknown. But here's the other piece, and that is that we're really clear. We don't sell the business. The business owner is the guru of the business. They're the star of the business. They're the hero of the business. They're the ones who are going to sell the business. All we do is bring the right buyers to the conversation and create the stage and shine the spotlight. And in the background, we whisper into the business owner's ear, when is it time to reveal which parts of the data that are eventually all going to come out? We tell all the truth, but you don't have to tell it all up front. So you got to make sure you time that reveal to create the story that creates interest and has people get excited, drives up interest, drives up competition, multiple offers.
I'm
Here we
sure.
go.
I'm sure you thought of that, Chris.
No, actually, I'm getting ready to take a snake bite.
Is that why?
I think I'm going to
You were-
convert to Baptist. Be a Baptist. Give me a snake. No, going to the altar. We're stepping on the altar again. Oh my God, we've had so many altars we stepped on. But back to what Carl said is you can DIY it. Sure. You want to build your basement up?
I did.
Sure. And you could. And do you feel good about it? You can. Sure.
We did all right.
You did, right? And you know what? You're going to tell your kids. You're going to. You did. I mean, and not diminishing it.
By the way,
but-
speaking of my kids, all the way through owning the business, they didn't care at all about any of my work. As soon as I came home and said, we're starting to work on selling the business, it was all ears around the dinner table. And every day through the negotiation process and all that, they were like, Dad, who'd you talk to today?
Come on, really?
For 6 months in my family at my dinner table, I was relevant.
Are you joking?
No.
You
So
needed
funny.
to milk that.
So back, I
No, I was ready. I was ready to get across the finish line. I was okay not milking that anymore.
So but at that point, you're like, I don't want. For the first time, you're like, they're interested, and I'm so tired, and I just don't really want to talk to you about this right now because I've been talking about it all day.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I know.
Oh, that's what? That's a hard one. Back to his social work background. That's why I love the mosaic that he has pasted.
Okay, so the
Thank you. That's done too.
Well, it is highly emotional.
next one is
Right.
going to be
All right. So the emotions of selling. I think we watched Carl and I have been part of our group. We talked about this, and I talk about so many of my friends who have exited, and I've got now 4. And I had one of them actually call me and tell me, he said, Chris, and this Carl, probably the last guy you think. He said, he goes, if you ever go through this, and he goes, well, when you go through this, he goes, I know you're going to cry like a baby. He said, I started crying. I couldn't even talk to anybody for a day. He goes, I haven't cried in front of anybody in my life.
Now, wait, which part of it was making him cry?
The actual sale, the actual
That he had.
culmination, the done, I've done it and it's over. And he said the flood of emotions came over him. And it reminded me of something that actually the Yoda, Chris Hanks, said again yesterday. He said, we just had the Olympics just finish. And after 4 years of training, you have arguably in all of the sports there, you have 5 seconds to 5 hours to prove your worth after 4 years of training, right? I mean, if you think about it. And the first question that comes out of the NBC and analyst's mouth is, what are you going to do next? You're like,
let me revel in this for a second.
Like, and I just killed the trampoline, or I just killed the pommel horse, the kid with the glasses who was Superman. Right? Amazing story. I mean, he trained for 4 years for one event, and he brought home the bronze for the team, and then the silver in his personal. And you're like, you know what? Kid's awesome. But don't ask me what I'm going to do next. Again, back to this whole exit strategy. We don't want to exit.
Your next word is potpourri.
Potpourri is in. Ooh, that's a hard one.
Work that one in.
Damn it. I hate it when people do that. I've actually done that to people. I'm like, hey, when you're on TV, if you can just use this word, I'll watch.
Oh God, we used to do that all the time. Somebody's got to give a speech, and we would give a word. My favorite one I gave somebody was periscapacity.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
of course you did.
Yeah.
Oh, not good. This is why Alan's my co-host, guys. This guy challenges me every single day. I mean, there is a text message. There's always something. There's whatever. All right, back to Carl. Can we, please?
I've been on Carl all day.
I know he is amazing.
Yeah,
right. Am I not joking? This guy kills it, right? All right. Selling your biz, doing the whole thing. What's next?
Yeah. So
was that ever in your mind?
No. And it should have been. But I'm like, all right. What I knew was that the vision that I saw in Scotland needed to get implemented here. And I knew that a lot of tech needed to get developed in order to make that happen. And I was all about, okay, let's start developing that. I took 7 organizations on all separate systems and brought them together under one system in 6 months. It was ridiculously fast paced. And at the end of that, like, I had served my purpose. And, they're like, we're good now.
And they let you go.
And I was like, you know what? That's just fine, because this isn't fun anymore.
All right. So you did that. When you guys did the deal, you consummated the deal, you hit it, you blessed it, you're done, you're back. Did you have that seminal moment where you just cry like a baby, or you just didn't have that?
I didn't cry like a baby, but I did breathe a huge sigh of relief. I couldn't believe that we had gotten there. I had so many late night conversations with my accountant more than my lawyer, in that case. And so many, and by the way, the firm that bought us, right? Remember I mentioned Scotland, right? They're over in England. So time differences, this whole thing is just going on. And I was exhausted.
Don't use your accent.
I can't use my accent
unless you use it when you say potpourri.
More potpourri. I think it's a potpourri.
Shit. All right. Next word is fusion.
Ooh, I can do fusion. Okay. I got fusion. All right.
That's when I got introduced to really good scotch, by the way.
Oh, I bet you. Oh.
What's your brand?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I know.
Oh, we'll fix that.
That's fine.
I might have one by the time I'm done, but all right.
All right, back to this. Can we, please?
I like how you shook the glass at me and gave me the little nose shrug, a bit of a wink. I'm like, oh, do you want a new glass? I got the double
guns.
Oh my God. Once in a while, he gets it twice, but he got it again. All right. So this story is fascinating because if you're in a family biz, or if you built your family biz, And then you just heard from Carl say his kids could care less about his family business. I can kind of identify with that one. All right, back to Carl. You for him. We're done. We sold it.
Yep.
Your usefulness is done.
Yep.
Now what?
Well, so all along I've been teaching in the MBA programs at UGA, and
when did you start doing that?
In 2009.
9.
Yeah.
So you were that smart, and they
No.
thought that much of you then.
Oh, don't even get me started on how I got started with that.
All right.
But
again, you get to give back to kids that are trying this, or
most of these are
adults.
executives. So when I started teaching, almost all of my students were older than me.
Oh, this is so fun.
Yeah.
But you had lived the world of, again, people don't think about this as family business, but I just love this story. Chris has said this to us many times. It is harder to be a CEO of your own business than it is to be the CEO of Coca-Cola, of IBM, of pick your poison. And I agree.
What does he mean by that?
And I think to grow from nothing to this, wherever you are, is so hard. To take on an existing concern, as it were, and then move it up. I have to agree. It's hard, but it's not as hard as starting something from scratch.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing, is that a lot of business owners, they don't realize that there's one skill set that's required to take it from nothing to a real good concept. That's making money. And then there's a whole other skill set that's scaling it, right? And then there's a whole other skill set that's uber scaling it. And, some business owners like those challenges. And some business owners recognize that, you know what, I'm good at the first phase, but not the other two. Let somebody else do that. And knowing yourself is important. Writing it out to the end isn't always the best plan.
We just scratched the surface today.
I know. I love the fact that Carl's the first one who's ever challenged you on it. You've been quoting that quote quite a bit lately.
Yeah.
And he's like, why do you say that?
I know.
I love it.
Damn it, he's hard. All right. Guys, you got to go check out Carl. We got to go.
How do we find Carl?
Let's find Carl. Carl, how do we find you?
Yeah. So Marsh Creek Advisors, mcreek.com, and LinkedIn, Carl Nicpon, either one.
You got to pick a partner. If you're thinking about exiting 5 years from now, because 5 is that magic number, right? Everybody always says,
do you agree with that, Carl? I don't believe Chris anymore. Is that the right number?
5 years?
Yeah.
Why? What's the question?
Planning the exit.
Because if you say 5,
I think you should start as soon as you as soon as you can. So for some people, their awareness comes and it's like, I'm ready in 2 years. Okay, fine, great. Let's do that. Let's make that happen. For other people, they think, oh, eventually I want to exit. Let's start now and put time on our side.
There you go. Because 10 is not time. Because 10 years from now means I'm not exiting.
And here's the other thing. If you're ready, you can play the market instead of the market playing you. Look, there are roll-ups that happen. And right now, there's a roll-up going on in X industry, whatever that was, right? When you listen to this, whatever that industry, the hot industry, if you're ready for that roll-up when it hits your industry, then you can say, you know what, it wasn't my plan today, but it's popular and the multiples are high. Let me do it now. Or if you're not ready, you are waiting 3 to 4 years until all the fanfare has happened and the multiples have cooled back down, and you're just going to get for your business. If you're always ready, you take advantage of the excitement when it comes.
He just makes me want to sell a business.
Right? Get out there, make it happen. You guys got this going on. Check out Carl Nicpon. We'll put this all stuff in the deets. Marsh Creek. You need to make it happen. Keep going up that mountaintop. Let's make it happen. We got to go. We're out of here. Let's go drink.
Cheers,
more.
everybody.